We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. A new world order. A new world order. A new world order.
Got one that can see.
Australia's toughest ever anti-terror laws have passed Parliament tonight, promising mandatory prison sentences for publicly displaying any terror symbol. It comes as Peter Dutton accuses security agencies of bypassing the Prime Minister, and he's now calling for a public inquiry.
In the House of Representatives, Labor and Liberal MPs side by side passing new mandatory sentences for hate crimes.
Ayes 117, noes 13.
That unity didn't last long.
It's obvious that the Prime Minister was kept in the dark. The question is why.
The opposition demanding an inquiry into when the Prime Minister was told about an alleged terror plot thwarted by authorities in Dural in Sydney's southwest.
Well, so stop the investigations. Stop doing the work to track down the perpetrators of these crimes and engage in politics.
You must have been absolutely livid that you weren't notified.
No, you're making an incredible assumption there, Carl.
That's a new line again. And I just think we need somebody with honesty and integrity to have a look at the process.
Suggesting security agencies or state police forces were keeping information from the Prime Minister over fear it would be leaked. A suggestion without evidence, but with plenty of insinuations.
I'm not going to comment on discussions I've had with individuals out of agencies, and people can draw their own conclusions.
But for Peter Dutton, there is no issue too big for him to show how small his approach to politics is.
The AFP today reluctant.
Was the Prime Minister briefed?
This is a public hearing and it's not an appropriate forum for us to provide information.
When we're asking simple questions at the AFP, you expect simple answers.
The government has rejected the inquiry. It had also rejected the coalition's calls for mandatory sentencing until an 11th hour change.
I want the perpetrators of antisemitism to be caught, charged, held to account for their crimes and put in the clink.
Under the
antisemitism to be caught, charged, held to account for their crimes and put in the clink.
Under the changes, 12 months minimum sentences for publicly displaying Nazi symbols or giving the Nazi salute. 12 months minimum for displaying or waving the...
12 months for giving a Nazi salute? Wow. It's a good thing Elon's not over there in Australia right now.
Flag of other terror groups, 3 years minimum for financing terrorism and 6 years minimum for terror acts.
The Prime Minister, I think, needs to be much clearer about what he wants and not what people...
See, all this stuff is spreading everywhere, it seems like, at once. I mean, these anti-Semitism laws could apply to the Bible in a lot of ways because the Apostle Paul says the Jews are our enemy for the gospel's sake, and the Jews had Jesus put to death, and we see it coming. Trump's been talking about it. He says there's no place for anti-Semitism, and it's hate speech. And for terrorists, I remember the Department of Homeland Security said that Christian patriots were domestic terrorists. So we see this stuff going everywhere. Just listen to the rest of it.
That Dutton calls for.
If you're going to have a Prime Minister who's a cheap imitation of Peter Dutton, when you have an election coming up, why wouldn't you just choose the real thing?
It is our legislation, and our legislation was the first to outlaw any of these symbols.
The government has pursued these changes because we are very concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism in our community. We want to send an unambiguous and clear message that civic society and the New South Wales government oppose it in all circumstances. But I want to make it equally clear that the suite of reforms that we are introducing will apply to everybody. Racism has no place in modern Australia.
The changes are fairly...
I remember how bad Australia got back during the pandemic. They were crazy over there arresting people for not wearing masks and stuff. So you guys that live over there, let me know if you've seen anything.
Wide-ranging. They'll include a new criminal offence for intentionally inciting racial hatred, a more specific offence that...
New criminal offense for intentionally inciting racial hatred. Could that be speaking the truth against a certain group of people? Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. Yeah. New offense that makes the display of a Nazi symbol or near a synagogue with an increased maximum penalty. New aggravated offense for graffiti on a place of worship.
Deals with anti-Semitic behaviour, including that makes the display of a Nazi symbol on or near a synagogue with an increased maximum penalty of New Year's, as well as a new aggravated offence for graffiti on a place of worship. That graffiti change is significant in of itself, that it's looking at incidents that have occurred in Sydney late last year and early this year, including at synagogues in Alloa, in Sydney South, and Newtown in the Inner West. We'll also see another offence added to the Crimes Act, which will see people potentially criminally liable for blocking access to a place of worship without due cause. This could be for a religious festival or ceremony where people are either protesting or for other reasons obstructing access to that site. Along with new laws, there's also new resources. $500,000 will be allocated to local governments to improve social cohesion. And we've seen today, right where I am here in Bondi, mayors gathering together to speak about how they can improve social cohesion. They'll now be able to access more than $500,000 in additional funding for grants to support such programs. The police are also getting more money, to the tune of $500,000, to investigate hate crimes within the state.
Just holler, bullshit, and let it ring through the land.